You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Hobbs got a pretty good figure there. You got to admit. Welcome into our St. Patrick's Day special. We always have a little fun on the holidays, and it's good to have fun. Basketball season is wrapped up. We'll discuss where the program goes from here. We'll talk some spring football. The Lady Vols name fight is back in the news this week. A lot of stuff to cover in an hour. Let's just jump right into it. This first segment of our show brought to you by Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. And when it comes to selling your home, your property, turn to the group that has moved, get this, more than $300 million worth of land since its start in 1980. That's Land and Homes, of course. And now, one of Knoxville's leaders in residential listings and sales is expanding. So if you are an ambitious, focused real estate agent looking to become a multi-million-dollar producer and make more than $100,000 a year, hey, that doesn't sound bad. I might look into real estate. You need to call this week Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. If you want to buy a house, if you want to sell a house, or if you want to help them buy and sell houses, they are growing. Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. All right, coming up in today's show, here are our headlines for you. Hoops is donezo, we believe, at 16-16. Very doubtful they're going to get any kind of invitation to the NIT. We actually knew that last week, but Don DeVoe, who's on the selection committee, didn't feel obliged, I don't think, to speak on behalf of the committee, but I don't think you're getting an NIT bid today. We'll talk about Tennessee's future moving forward. As we look into year two, let's look back to what happened last year. We knew this would be a step back, but looking into 2015 and 16, would Tennessee's program be better had they kept Martin, or is it better under Tyndall? We'll also do some spring practice previews, as we've been doing leading up to spring practice. Makes sense. Running backs and defensive backs today. The name fight, as I mentioned, of the Lady Vols moniker continues. We'll get back into that. How many SEC bids will be going into the NCAA tournament? We'll cover all that and more today on The Sports Source. I'm joined this first segment by Mike Strange from the Knoxville News Sentinel, by Mark Pankratz, former Division I basketball player, also former Vol staff member under Bruce Pearl and Conzo Martin. And right down there, Chuck Cavaleris from SouthernGolfCentral.com, which I finally got right, didn't I?
Yes.
Didn't
and plus it's a magazine, too.
And it's a magazine, too. Okay. See, I finally get it right. And now you add more stuff to it. All right. Tennessee knocks off Vanderbilt, game one. Crazy game. All three of the games with Vanderbilt this year were absolutely nuts. Yeah. Tennessee goes on a wild 20-2 run at the end. Just shows all kinds of fight. Then the next night out against Arkansas, who's in the finals, they fall asleep to start. They don't wake up in time. I guess the snooze bar was there, and they'd hit it. Fell way behind. Had another rally late. Josh Richardson came on the second half, but they dug too deep a hole. So season ends at 16-16. It's a team that was picked 16-16. Team that was picked 13th. They finished 10th. What's the epitaph? And I don't mean a literal epitaph, but epilogue, if that's the word you want to use. How do you sum up the 2015-16 season?
Well, I wrote my column today in the News Sentinel that there was a lot of times this team was hard to watch. They had a lot of flaws, but bottom line, it could have been a lot worse. I think they got what they could wring out of the material they had to work with.
I think it epitomized being in the Smoky Mountains. You know, you had the highs, you had the lows throughout the season. You know, you start out the season great. You beat a Butler team that's ranked. You beat Arkansas ranked. And then you have some low times at the end of the season. And then still, even from the coaching side, which I know we'll get into, is this with Coach Tyndall. You know, I think he's a proven coach, a great job. You know, but the what if, what is going to happen here in the near future?
Well, they had not only ups and downs in the season, they had ups and downs in every game. I've never seen, I'm sure there have been teams, but I can't remember a Tennessee team that had as many 5, 6, 8, 9-minute scoring droughts.
Yeah.
It seemed like every other game you had one of those things. Chuck Cavaleris, your thoughts on the season?
I thought it was a frustrating team to watch. I thought it was a very enjoyable team to watch. And in many cases, I felt like they gave it everything they had to give. There just wasn't a whole lot there in terms of when you're looking at comparing them to other teams. In a lot of ways, Tennessee was like a mid-major type program trying to compete with the big boys.
Go ahead.
We had multiple personalities, just like you said. Exciting to watch, but yet frustrating. You know, and there's the fight and the effort and the style of play was exciting, but it was just frustrating because the pieces to the car weren't great. They didn't fit. And so you know, that's why I think you had so many different challenging moments, because they weren't just overly skilled guys.
We talked before the season. We debated what this team's record could be. Where's it going to finish? I think we all said probably ahead of 13th. But the arrow, the zone we honed in on was right there on 500. And it turns out they hit dead on 500. So I think in terms of expectations, they probably met our expectations higher than I think most people in the SEC voted, obviously. But I think you do have to give Donnie Tyndall a lot of credit for putting this thing together. The problem, of course, and we'll look at this in the next segment as well, you could almost say like this was, what was the first one that Butch Jones had? Team 117?
Right.
And you knew that you're going to build from there. This feels like a Team 117 type thing that we know it's going to be rough, but we'll get through it and we build onwards and upwards. You don't know if you're going to build onwards and upwards. And that gives it a whole other feel from Butch Jones' first revival year.
And we'll get into that. But one thing I want to say about this team, I've watched a lot of Tennessee teams, a lot of teams, period. This team was almost unique in two ways. One, there was just nobody to throw it into in the paint. Nobody.
Yeah,
I mean,
none.
That's a terrible handicap. And the other thing, I can't remember a team that could not win at home. I've seen teams that couldn't win at home, but then they didn't go out and win on the road.
And I think in a lot of ways, this team was easier to cheer for than a much more talented team last year at Tennessee, because you saw the effort was there, you saw the limitations that were there, but at least they were going out there and giving it what they had. And you didn't feel like that a lot of times some of your best players were loafing back down court to play defense, or the offense was just like passing it around the perimeter and then, you know, do some kind of desperation thing. I thought this team was easier to pull for.
Okay. Easier to pull for. Let's
Well,
talk. Go ahead.
I think that's just based off of the level of expectations. You know, on the team, you have two basically NBA players in Jarnell Stokes and Jordan McRae last year. And then you have a Jerron Mayman, who was a preseason All-SEC player. So the expectation level was so much higher than for this team. You just didn't have those pieces to cheer for.
Want to throw out kudos to Josh Richardson. What a great story. You know, you have those legends that appear at the SEC tournament this year. It was Johnny Darden. Give it 20, 25 years, 30 years, which is about what it usually works out to be. You could picture Josh Richardson being a legend for Tennessee. Ben Fredrickson of the Sentinel put this out last night on Twitter. I thought it was great. I'm sure he put it in his writings today. 25% of UT scoring, Richardson, on the year. 33% of Tennessee's assists, Richardson. 27% of their steals, Richardson. Can't say enough good things about Josh Richardson and what he did and how he developed from a guy who everybody kind of, 3 stars. Why are they bringing this guy in here? To a guy that turned into one of the SEC's best and probably somebody's going to get a shot in the NBA.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely get a shot now because he affects the game on both ends of the floor. And then also the thing about him, it's just like Tobias. He's carved out a niche in the NBA because he does things the right way. There's a lot of people that are good at this game of basketball, but if you can do things the right way and treat people the right way and be an improvement to the community like Josh was, he'll get a shot.
Very quickly, everybody agree the NIT is a no-go?
I think it's a no-go.
And the CBI is a no-go even if they invite? Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Okay. Want to take one last look at something here that we did early in the season. There's the 3-man weave, how it finished up. Bruce Pearl 13-20, Conzo Martin 17-15, but he inherited a little bit more than Donnie Tyndall did. 16-16 for Donnie Tyndall. I don't think that's. I bet a lot of people thought Pearl's name would have the better record beside it. But anyway, anybody have a comment on any of that? Just okay, there they are.
There they are. I mean, it's almost like you could put them in a hat and pull them out. But I mean, who is the better coach of those three?
Time will tell. I think right now your track, depends on what all you in terms of floor coach, or do you mean in terms of running a program? Because a couple of guys on there, you got questions about running the program. But we'll get into that in the next segment. Where is this program going from here? Come on back on the Sports Source.
Want your own man cave? Turn to Benedict Construction.